wherever it leads, running down a stream.
I felt so good, like it.
You keep saying you got something for me, something you call love, but confess you've been a messin' where you shouldn't have been a messin', and now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Welcome to Culver's and Ball in Navarre. It's Irish Bill's Twist on Sports with Seminole Bob sitting
Bill.
to my right. Yes, we are here, so that only means one thing. What does it mean, Bob?
We're still in it.
It's playoff time.
Playoffs?
You talking playoffs? Yeah, it's Navarre this week. They'll be hosting a team they've never played before. Bartram Trail will be coming over from St. John's, I believe, the St. John's region.
The Bears.
The Bears of Bartram Trail.
That's funny. That's funny.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's funny. Bill's favorite NFL team is the Bears. Wouldn't it be funny if Navarre's nickname was the Packers?
Oh, my gosh. It would be the Bears. That would be a classic.
So we have the Raiders and the Bears.
Yes, we have
Two
the Raiders.
NFL
They've already played this year,
They have.
and the Bears actually beat them. But they're not going to win this week, though.
Not this week.
Not so fast, my friend.
friends.
Thanks, Deborah, for checking in. And Deborah says she's the – I said it the other day at the game on Friday night. So you need to make a visit either tonight, the Culvers, or to Buffalo Wild Wings tomorrow night. Because I did it in advance this time, and I don't normally do that. I usually need to flash first.
Deborah's good for it, I'm sure.
I know she is. But anyways,
Wonderful
great show coming up tonight.
Yep.
We get to talk playoff football. We get to talk college football, and we get to go over our picks for this week. Unfortunately, it was not a very good night for the Raiders on Friday night. The first half was outstanding.
Yeah.
And it looked like this was going to be a classic, but unfortunately, the sickness that the Raiders had on their sideline and having 4 or 5 starters out on defense caught up with them in the second half.
Yep.
I'm taking nothing away from what Niceville did on night. Very impressive performance by the Eagles, over 440 yards rushing. I mean, DJ Shorts, fresh off of like 6 weeks off due to injury, couldn't tell it.
Oof.
So he went for 217 yards, and DJ Robinson went for 163, I believe, but 5 touchdowns, 7 between the two of them. 8 rushing touchdowns in all for the Eagles. The Raiders, the depleted staff on defense just was not up to the par, and the matchup in the second half, a 63-34 setback. That was the most points that Navarre had ever given up in a game. The last time we gave up 62, you'll remember this one. In 2012, the Raiders hosted Gainesville in the state semifinals at Navarre, and Gainesville jumped out to a big lead in a 62-26 win over the Raiders there in 2012, their first ever trip to the state Final Four. Then we go all the way back to 1998. Actually, 99. Walton put up 62 on the Raiders in that game, and it was the second year. The first year that the Raiders had a full allotment of classes from
Varsity
freshmen on up,
players, yeah.
all the way up to their senior year. But that's the 2 times that the Raiders had given up 62. Well, unfortunately, that was beaten on Friday night as the Eagles put up 63. And the 342 points that the Raiders have given up so far this season is also not one of the records that you want to post, but it is a record nonetheless. But the Raiders have outscored their opponents. That's because of their 7-3 record, because they're able to match usually most teams point for point, and just at least one more in a couple of games. And that's why they're in the playoffs. And not every team is in the playoffs. So the Raiders will have their opportunity Friday night to see if they deserved. And I think it's going to be a great game against two run-happy teams. But you couldn't tell that the Raiders were run-happy in that first half Friday night the way that Feaster and Terrence Marshall were going off.
Oh, most certainly. I listened to the replay of the game, and it just, like you said, it was touchdown for touchdown. Hats off to the Niceville defensive staff. They did some corrections late second quarter and into the second half that really turned the tide. They shut down the running game.
You said that word. You know, I'm not going to say it, but
Roll
said
Tide.
it changed the.
Roll Tide.
There you go, Deborah. Joe Settle checking in. He made it. He was worried he was going to fall asleep before because he's still recovering from his surgery on Sunday. And our prayers with you, Joe, for a speedy recovery. And Deborah says, I was going to come out, but I was feeling a little dizzy. No.
That's fine.
I'll bring it Friday. If not, better tomorrow. I pledge $100 a game as long as the Raiders keep playing in the playoffs. We appreciate that, Deborah.
Most definitely, Deborah.
And we thank all of our individuals that have made donations to make this game happen on Friday night. Here's the scenarios. If Navarre wins and Niceville wins, the Raiders will head back to Niceville.
Right.
If Navarre wins and Nice wins, Nice will have to come to Navarre. That's
Really?
the only option because they are the seven. They are the 7 seed. Navarre is the 6 seed.
Oh,
So
that's
the
right.
the higher seed would host. But I don't see Nice knocking off.
Well, we'll be local either way.
Coach Greenhaw checking and says, Bill, if you remember in that game against Gainesville, we were going in to score on our opening drive to answer the Gainesville score, and we fumbled inside the 10. I do remember that, Coach, very well.
Yeah.
But it was kind of downhill in that first half. I believe the score was like 34-0 at halftime, if I remember right. But that could have changed the whole momentum of the game. You're right, Coach. So those are matchups. So the Raiders, there's a way that the Raiders could actually host 2 weeks, as if Nice knocks off the number 2 seed, Niceville. So even just they did something a little bit different this year with the ratings, the strength of schedule, and everything, because you have 3 district winners are the 6 seed, the 7 seed, and the 8 seed. They do get a host. Mosley, unfortunately, has to go down to the Gainesville on Friday, so because they're playing at the number 1 overall seed in Buchholz. So they have to travel, but Nice will host Niceville, and Navarre will host Bartram Trail on Friday night.
Well, that would be ideal.
Most definitely. Well, let's get right to our picks from last week. But before we do, we're going to give you all the scores from last Friday night's games.
Go for it.
Choctaw over Mosley and Thursday night game, 35-0. That game surprised me. The score. West Florida over Gulf Breeze, 35-32. Winding out Thursday night, Holmes County over Destin. Destin finishes off a great season at 7-3 as they lost to Holmes County 32-14. Scambia 47, Pensacola 7. These are Friday night games. Tate 44, Washington 0. Crestview over Fort Walton 35-28. We always told you the Niceville Navarre score. Catholic over St. John Paul II 37-13.
And that was called the Bishop Bowl or the Bishop's Trophy.
So they were playing chess and not checkers.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. It's the 2 teams, 2 Catholic high schools in the diocese.
But what is the St. John's? You figure it would be something
Cardinals or Popes?
Marauders. No, Panthers. They're the Panthers, right?
Yeah.
They are the Panthers.
Well, it's better than the team outside of Birmingham called the Poets.
Yeah, Coach Greenhaw said they had a number 52 on that Gainesville team, but they went on the next week and played Miami Central, and they got your new what handed to them in that one, and because they played kind of a dirty. They tried to come out and intimidate the Raiders even before the game even started, and so when they went down, they actually had a player on the Gainesville team that threw a punch and got kicked out of the game. So that was Gainesville for you. But Miami Central showed them who was boss in that one. But let's go back to our scores. Walton 54, Northview 14, Pace 35, Lafayette 7. Sad to say that with that victory, Pace did not make it into the playoffs. That was a game and an outcome where you thought that would make it an 8-2 Pace team. And unfortunately, their seniors left the field Friday night thinking that they had done everything that they needed to do.
Right.
And so that leaves kind of a hollow taste in their mouth right now.
Right.
Saying, well, we would have had to go 9-1 to make the playoffs. Basically, they would have. They would have had to beat Navarre that night, and Navarre would be sitting home this week.
Right.
Because no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Navarre would not be playing this week if Pace knocked them off in week 9, I believe it was. But sad outcome for Pace. They should be in the playoffs, in my opinion.
And we know what that tastes like because
the Crestview Navarre game, I think from 2019, the game that I
missed.
The only game that I've missed since I've started broadcasting Navarre football. I was in Ohio for one of Brady's games that weekend. And the Raiders did a number on Coach Greenhall remembers that one. They put up 52 on Crestview that night, 52-14. What a night I believe it was Tyler England went off for 3 interceptions and 4 touchdowns catches, if I remember right, or the other way around, 4 interceptions and 3 touchdowns. Either way, what a performance. The 5-5 Crestview team got in front of a 6-4 Raider team, and even though the Raiders were head-to-head winners over Crestview, didn't make any sense.
By what, 0.00? So
yeah, it was.
They do an all-star game in football, do they not? Still, Bill.
I believe Subway still does one at Pensacola.
So they'd rather be in the playoffs than playing in an all-star game, but
you
still.
got that right. But I believe if they would have made it in, I think they would have been playing. I think they would have been the 7 or 8 seed. So they would have either been going to Niceville, or they would have been going to
probably Niceville.
Buchholz.
Oh yeah, they would.
So they would have been playing the big boys, but they would have been playing. Back to the scores. Leon 45, New Smyrna Beach. We all got that one wrong. 45-41. Florida High over Lincoln. We all got that one wrong as well. 24-22. North Bay Haven over Arnold. Mercifully ends the Marlins season, where they only had one game where they scored. The rest of the games they got shut out. 0-9. 9 is the points that they scored in the season. 1 point a game.
Jeez.
That's not very good. Mariana knocks off South Walton 26-25. Gaston County over Gateway 49-0. Madison County over Rickards 34-21. Port St. Joe rather easily over Bay 35-14. Bozeman, congratulations to the Bucks as they produced their first 10-0 season in school history with their 41-24 win over Rutherford. And most definitely congratulations goes out to Coach Everett Alford and his Lighthouse PCA team as they won their SAC SSAC Class 4 game, semifinal game against Eagles View, 21-18. And now they play Out the Door Academy this Friday night for a state championship in the SSAC Class 4.
Where's the game at?
I believe they're having to travel down to it's Out the Door or Out of the Door. I think it's Out the Door Academy. I believe they're in the Gainesville region area. But good luck to Coach Everett Alford in his second year. He's got if you look at his coaching staff, it looks like a Navarre reunion. You got Matt Webb. You got Dylan Main over there as well. You got a couple others, Lee Jones. So the coaching staff is basically former Navarre football players, Navarre grads. So good luck to the Stingrays and Coach Everett Alford as they try to bring home a state title this week. So let's move on to Jay. 41-14 wins over Blackshear, Alabama. Chipley in a tight one over Bluntstown, 32-26. The Sneeds over Freeport, 50-22. Childs over Sun Lake, 44-13. Cottondale over Graceville, 44-6. Vernon over FAMU, 30-20. Bartram Trail over Mandarin, 24-14. Weewaw over Franklin County, 34-8. Liberty County over Jefferson County. And both those county teams, Franklin and Jefferson, finished a combined 0-20. McClay over Taylor County, 35-34. And Buchholz over Trinity Catholic, 42-20. That game was not as close as it was because it was 35-0 at halftime.
You know, some of those games, Bill, that we missed in our picks, and games, depending on where they were at, how many games they played, games 9 or 10, obviously we weren't at. Navarre and Niceville played all of their troops. You wonder if some of these teams who have locked up a seed, did they play their starters the whole game type thing?
So you could say you're actually the
great song.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue. And when the band plays hail to the chief, ooh, they point the cannon at you. Now, it ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no senator song. It ain't me. It ain't me. I ain't no fortunate one.
But the teams left are the fortunate ones. That's why I played that song.
Yeah, great song.
And we've got some different music we got going on tonight. Hopefully that you have enjoyed the music. I like going back into the 60s. That was the time frame when you and I were small lads growing up. Me in Indiana and you in
The Panhandle here.
the Panhandle of Florida. Graduate of Fort Walton Beach High, East Noble High School in Kendallville, Indiana, myself, back in 81. Also the same year that Coach Walls graduated from Rutherford High School in Panama City in 1981. You were about 4 years in front of me from Fort Walton Beach High. And that was a great time for music in the 60s and 70s and early 80s. And we'd like to bring those songs back here on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports and our Buffalo Wild Wings Coaches Show on Wednesday nights. If Navarre were to bow out, which I don't think they will, we'll be back for a closing show next week at both locations. I'm hoping that we're at least here for a couple more weeks. Why don't we just keep on going?
We may have to postpone your surgery.
No. That I got to get done, unfortunately.
Will the playoffs be over?
I think that week is the state championships in Tallahassee.
Okay.
At FAMU's stadium.
Yep.
Well, our picks last week, the guy to my right finally had a week. Even though you lost 7 games, you went 24-7. I went 22-9. Joe went 21-10. And Paul in his usual spot. No, I can't say that. He's doing pretty solid, 76%. He's got the second best percentage out of all of us. What am I talking about?
What are you talking about?
And Joe's a Lake Wales, great football program. His brother coaches down there at Lake Wales High School. He is a class of 87. You're a youngster. You're a baby, Joe.
Youngster.
But overall this year, Joe continues to lead the pack.
Yeah.
226 and 67. That's solid. Paul's at 76.1%. So he's 124 and 39. I'm in third at 222 and 71. And that's 75%. I'm picking 3 out of 4 every week. That's pretty solid.
Yep.
and Bob at 215 and 78, bringing up the
Caboose.
the donkey, the backside.
But
you won last week.
I did. And if you collectively choose and follow and pick our games, and you bet
Mondays could be really good, couldn't they?
You could wake up Monday, Bill, and be independently wealthy.
Well, I don't know if you can live on it, but I think you'd be sitting pretty darn good.
You could probably buy a custard here at.
Of course, Deborah wants me to announce that we're going to get to that in the college picks. So just hold your britches, Deborah. We'll get to that game. I know I got that game wrong, but we'll get to college here. We got to finish up our high school games first. Okay, our picks this week. We're going to go with Class 4S Region 1. We only have 18 picks this week, so we'll have to reach into different regions next week for more games.
Yep.
Mosley at Buell's. This is a Thursday night game. They're going to be playing down in Gainesville at Citi Field, down in Gainesville.
Mosley's used to playing on Thursday nights.
Yeah, they are. So this number 8 seed Mosley at number 1 Buell's. We're all going with the Bobcats at home. These are our Friday night games. Creekside at Ponte Vedra. All three of you going with Creekside. I'm going with Ponte Vedra in this one at home. Creekside upset them a couple of weeks ago, but they're not going to get them twice in a row.
Right.
Because you know how tough it is to beat the same team twice in a season.
Yes, sir.
Number 2 Niceville goes to number 7 Nice. You're probably asking why is a 2 seed going to the 7 seed? Well, Nice won their district, so they host a first-round game. If they were to knock off Niceville, they would not see their home field again in the playoffs unless Mosley somehow knocked off Buchholz as the 8 seed moving forward.
Right.
But we're all going with Niceville in that one. Bartram Trail at Navarre, it's a clean slate. It's a PB&J picks. That's what we call when everybody picks the same team. So in Navarre, everybody's going with the Raiders at home over the Bears. It's not unusual for a Bears team to lose. I'm sorry. I had that's a joke of my own team. Now let's go down to Class 3S. There's going to be a game Friday night. The last time they played, it was 14-7, Pine Forest over Escambia.
Yep.
This time, it's back at Pine Forest, and it's the 5 seed Escambia at the 4 seed Pine Forest. And we're split on this one. Paul and Bob are going with the Gators. You've been liking picking the Gators of late, Bob. And Joe and I are going with the Eagles at home on Friday night. But if they win, they'll play the winner of our first game, Middleburg, the sacrificial lamb going to St. Augustine, the 1 seed. So that whoever wins that Escambia Pine Forest game will have to travel to St. Augustine. And St. Augustine, as long as they keep winning, they'll keep being at home.
What Bill's son Brady is kicking coach, special teams. I guess he's technically the assistant special teams coach, but he specifically works with the punters, kickers, and long snappers.
Yep.
Has he said anything this week about the game? And
he's just happy that he doesn't have to go to Columbia and Lake City this week, because that was pre the game Friday night. Most games Friday night. That was where the seeding was. They were really slated to go off and play at Columbia, but the seeding changed, and they're now the 4 seed. Escambia the 5 seed, so they'll host. He thinks this Friday night's game's gonna be even better than the first one. You got Anthony Hall, quarterback at Escambia. He's had a great season for Coach Mike Bennett. Coach Tony Carter gets his team into the playoffs in his first season. They're 6-4 with one of the toughest schedules in the Panhandle.
Oh, most definitely.
Going down to IMG Academy. But have one of the best players in the Panhandle, Mikael Brock. We got to see him up close in week 2. If you're not recruiting this young man, you need to. Last I heard, Eastern Kentucky was the only Division I AA team that was looking. Yeah, that's right, Division I AA team This guy is a D1 FBS football player.
He's electric.
Yeah, and when he hits you, running the ball, you probably wish you were not in front of him when you're trying to tackle him. One of the best players, running backs, actually athletes that I've seen in this Panhandle since probably Wanye and Azariah Thomas.
He took care of us in week 2.
Yeah, we're all big Tony Carter, Coach Carter fans, and he's not only one heck of a football coach, but he's one heck of a human being.
I agree, Joe Settle.
And but that should be one heck of a game. Let's get to our other game. Matanzas sneaks in at the 7 seed. They go to Tallahassee to play number 2 seed Lincoln. Number 6 Columbia coming over here to the Panhandle to face off with the Choctaw Indians.
They're dangerous.
They are very dangerous. In fact, I could see a St. Augustine Choctaw matchup. And how about a week 2 matchup between Lincoln and Choctaw? Wouldn't you pay to see that one?
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln's got to win first.
That they do.
Because they lost last week to Florida High.
Most definitely. But if the seeds prevail at all 4 seeds, it would be Pine Forest at St. Augustine, and then Choctaw would have to travel to Tallahassee to play Lincoln. Let's go down to Class 2S Region 1. South Walton. It's a battle of Walton County in this one. South Walton, the 8 seed. Number 1, Walton, 10-0. Congratulations to the Braves on their undefeated regular season. And I don't think South Walton's got enough to go on the road and knock off Walton.
They had a heck of a first game earlier this year. It was overtime, I believe. And many who were at the game thought South Walton had a sure shot at winning that game. I'm picking Walton, Bill, but I can see Phil Tease's team.
Carson Hawk has had a decent season at quarterback for the Seahawks, but Wells Bentonhausen, what a season he's had, and they have one of the best kickers in all of the state. And Maston Joyner, I'm not saying that just because he's trained by my son, but this guy is a talent. And we saw a good one last week too. That young man's going to be kicking on the next level as well.
Yeah, Tyler Daniels from Navarre ain't bad. 40.
Only a junior, though. Tyler's only a junior.
That's right. 48, 47 out of 47.
The all-time scoring record for kickers is 112 points. I believe that is by Luke Morton. He edges Kevin Tace. You remember that name? Mm-hmm. Kevin had 111. But, Tyler, if he stays healthy, 69 points. He's already broken the Eagles season record for points scored by a kicker in a season. He's 48 of 48 on extra points and 7 of 8 on you can't get much better than that.
Right.
But only a junior, so it'll be nice to have Tyler back next year. Let's finish up our Class 2S Region 1. Sewanee coming to Catholic. That should be a pretty good game.
Well, that was hard to pick.
But Joe, he's the oddball in this one. He's the oddball most of the time. But Joe going with Sewanee on the road. We're all the rest of us are going with Catholic.
I almost went there, Joe.
And next game we got Gaston County going to Wakulla. What a season Wakulla's had, 10-0 as well. The War Eagles coached by Barry Cleese and his son Hayden Cleese at quarterback. Probably the best quarterback in the Big Bend region.
Yep.
We're all going with Wakulla, and that one, Mariana, shouldn't have been there. I honestly said, Coach Harry Lees at West Florida played one of the tougher schedules in the Panhandle. Yes, they did go 4-5, but Mariana lost 4 of their last 6 games, and a lot of the games that they played were against 1R rule teams. And West Florida played a much tougher schedule, and I am a big Harry Lees fan, and what the job he's done at West Florida with the schedule that they have. They should be there instead of Mariana, but they'll be going to Florida High, so it'll be short-lived for Mariana in that one. I could see a running score clock in the second half in that one.
You don't see that too many times in the playoffs.
No. And now we're going to go down to Class 1S Region 1, Monroe at North Florida Christian.
They played early in the year, I believe.
And
Monroe got drilled.
North Florida Christian playing some good ball now. we're all going with them at home. Maclay at St. John Paul II, we're all going with the Panthers at home. Down in Class 1R Region 1, Northview going to Jay. They just played a few weeks ago. I believe Northview won that game.
They did.
And but Bob is going with the Chiefs on the road. The rest of us are going with the Royals at home.
Yep.
Not Kansas City, but the J Royals.
Yeah.
But what you see here is the 5 and 4 matchup. What you don't see is the 1 and 2, because in 1R, the 1 and 2 seeds get a bye.
That's true.
In week 1, only 6 teams
Yep.
make it to the playoffs in the region in the rural schools. So in this one, you have Vernon at Chipley. Vernon the 6 seed, Chipley the 3 seed. I don't look for this a battle of Washington County.
Right.
The only 2 high schools in Washington County, and we're all going with Chipley in that one. Down in Region 2 of 1R, Cottondale, they've been putting up a lot of points in the second half of the season. Sneeds finally start to get the running game behind Jason Patterson going. We're splitting this one. You and Joe are going with Sneeds, and Paul and I are going with the Cottondale Hornets in this one.
Okay.
Then we're going to head over to Osceola Christian, 7-1 on the season. They're hosting Weewa Hitchka, and Coach Bobby Johns on the FHSA school board. He has a lot of thoughts for how things should be done, and he's the voice of the Panhandle over there for us. And but I think they're going to fall a little bit short against Osceola Christian
See,
this week.
I picked against the Gators.
You did. You haven't been of late, though.
That's true.
Okay. Deborah, here you go. We're going to start out with your game. Even though it's not a Thursday night game, we're going to go.
Well,
Of course,
Alabama.
the reason that Joe is going with Sewanee, Tammy Peanut Norton is a Sewanee grad.
Oh, that's right.
So that's why Joe is going with the Sewanee.
And
pick.
Coach.
Wall's first school.
Yep.
Okay, Deborah, I'm going to get this out of the way. Okay, your game, a tight game going to the half, but Alabama pulled away 42-28. That was one of the games that I lost. In fact, did I lose that? Yeah, I actually picked LSU.
You did.
And I think Paul sided with me as well. So you guys got the victory in that one. Last week, this guy, first place again, he tied with Joe 21-7. I went 20-8, and Paul coming up at 19-9 on the season. Joe has I got a 2-game lead on Joe, 216-46. Joe at 214-48, Bob at 213-40. We're really tight there. 3 games separate us. And then 71%, 109-44. Paul got started a little late. In fact, he pulled a Tom Brady on us last week.
He did.
On Tuesday night, he said he was retired. Before we woke up, got out from underneath our comfy comforters on Wednesday morning, he pulled a Tom Brady.
He deflated the footballs?
No, he didn't deflate the footballs.
He divorced Giselle Bunchel?
He unretired.
Oh, he unretired. That's right.
He unretired and came back to the picks. So we're glad to have Paul back.
Oh,
even though it was just for a few hours. But anyways, well, there's our picks from last week. Now it's time to pick our college games this week. We're running right through the commercial break. We'll get to that in just a moment. In fact, no, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be back with our college picks. From Culver's in Navarre, Seminole Bob and Irish Bill on Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. It's playoff week for high school football here in the state of Florida. But we're going to have to pay the bills, so we're going to go back and hear these words from our sponsors.
Craig Culver of Culver's.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culver's, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322.
All Dry is 100% veteran-owned and operated. They have a proven process that guarantees customer satisfaction along with job completion to industry standards. In addition to water and mold remediation, they hold certifications in fire and smoke odor control cleanup, trauma, crime scene, and biohazard cleanup. If you're in the Gulf Coast region, including areas in Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi, you can rely on All Dry 24/7, 365. And you can find them on the World Wide Web at www.myalldry.com/Gulf Coast region.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spread now so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
New York is where I'd rather stay. I get allergic smelling hay. I just adore a penthouse view. Darling,
I love you, but give me Park Avenue. That's chores. That's doors.
Fresh air.
That's where
You are my wife. Goodbye, city life.
Green
Acres, we are there. We got
there
to
you
get that
go.
in once. They got to love that song.
I hope we didn't make people get upset their dinner stomach.
I don't care.
Yes, we do.
Well, I do care, but at least it won't be like last Friday night on the sideline or in the locker room when they got back. It took them a while to get things straightened back up after this past Friday night's game. Got a Julie Prevet turning in tonight and is asking if all of the Navarre players are back for Friday's game. We should find that out tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So listening in to the Buffalo Wild Wings coaches show tomorrow night, as we'll have Coach Walls on, and he should give us an update, hopefully, coming into this Friday's matchup. He said, "What is your score prediction?" She said, "What is your score prediction for Navarre and Bartram Trail game?" Normally we don't give score predictions, but I think
Good for Julie.
yeah,
Good
thank
for
you.
Julie.
Good question there. And
I'll go first.
go ahead.
30-27 Navarre.
Nice. That means 3 field goals from Tyler Daniel, and that's the difference. He hits the game winner with no time on the clock.
No. No. Well,
We don't need another one of those games,
what's the
do we?
alternative?
No.
We get a big
Anyways,
league and they catch
I'm
up.
going to say 38-31 Navarre.
Okay. Yeah.
Both teams like run-oriented team. They got great backs, the Connor Matthews and the Biddle guy. I can't remember his first name, but he's going to get the ball 30 to 35 times a game, the running back from Bartram Trail. So
Walter Payton?
You may see
Gale
could
Sears?
show a low-scoring game if both teams get into the running game and move the clock. But as we go on, you notice something I'm wearing tonight, Bob?
Yeah, I like your cologne.
Yeah, that's my deodorant. But Noah Young, who played at Gulf Breeze, when graduated from Gulf Breeze, he played his freshman year at Navarre. Now at Colorado, his mom Elena, when she went out to watch one of his games, she picked me up a Colorado shirt, and I'm wearing it proudly tonight.
Prime.
Coach Prime, what a job he's done.
Prime.
Some say, well, they haven't won, but they've gotten into the tough part of their schedule. And they're facing a very tough Arizona team this weekend as well. But I want to say thank you to Elena for getting this Prime Colorado Buffaloes shirt for me. And I'll wear it proudly tonight. And Joe going score Navarre 32, Bartram Trail 27. So we can live with that.
Yep.
Now it's time to pick our college games.
Let's do it.
Okay, our Thursday night games. Virginia at Louisville. Louisville playing strong. All of us going with the Cardinals at home. What do you got there for spread there, Bob?
Well, it's a 6:30 p.m. kick. ESPN spread is 20.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Virginia did knock off North Carolina a couple weeks ago. So next game we're going to go to the Raging Cajun State of Louisiana as they host Southern Miss. All of us going with the Raging Cajuns at home.
Favored by 12. Another 6:30 kick on ESPN.
Me. It's on me?
Yeah.
Okay. Friday night games, got North Texas, the Mean Green, going to Shmoo.
Shmoo who?
We're all going with the Mustangs in that one.
16.5-point favorites, 8 p.m. kick on ESPN2.
Next game, we're going to head out west, not that far west. We're going to Vegas, where UNLV will be hosting the Cowboys of Wyoming, fresh off a win over Grady Kelly's Colorado State team this past Saturday. We're all going with the Running Rebels at home.
They're favored by 4.5. It's on FS1. We'll be able to watch that game, Bill. You know why?
What time is it?
It starts at 9:45.
9:45. So the Raider game will probably get home over about 10:30.
We'll catch the second half.
We'll catch most of the second half in that one. Because we're going to have an abbreviated show on Saturday again because Alabama kicks off at 11. So their pregame starts at 10. So we'll only have a 2-hour show on the Southern Gentleman Sports Show Saturday morning, 103.7 in Fort Walton Beach, 97.1 Pensacola, and wearesportsradio.com. And now let's get back to our picks, our Saturday games. We're going to start out with your team, Battle of Florida. Miami of Florida coming to Doak Campbell. The number 4 Florida State Seminoles favored in this one. We're all going with the Seminoles at home.
Yeah, Seminoles are favored by 14.5. 2:30 kick on ABC. Florida State really had a tough game against Pitt. Pitt played defensively pretty good, better than they did against Notre Dame. And Miami may have been looking ahead, Bill. They lost to NC State.
That they did. And
Florida
that's
State.
the one team I think my team's off this week. They need to be after that performance last week.
Florida State has clinched their half or their entry, punched their stamp.
Who is going to be that team? Is it going to be Duke?
Probably
is it
Louisville.
North Carolina? Is it going to be Louisville?
Probably Louisville. Duke and North Carolina will knock each other out this week.
Yeah, one of those will be gone. Georgia Tech at Clemson. Clemson actually found their offense for the first time all season.
Mercy.
Unfortunately, it was against my team,
Notre Dame.
31-23. And the beardless Sam Hartman, ever since he shaved that beard off, they have been playing like doo-doo on offense. And I tell you, you never mess with a good thing.
That's right. That's why I'm
Leave the beard. I mean, he had all the ladies, what is it, swooning
and drooling.
Yes. But he shaved off the beard, and the Irish offense has went.
Has he ever heard of No Shave November?
Yeah. But he shaved before November. You can't do that. You start the season with the beard and the hot temperatures. You got to keep it. Guys have got to get up in South Bend, Indiana, in Notre Dame area. It gets cold.
Yep.
You got to keep that beard on there. Keep the face warm.
Unless you're Rudy and you can't grow a beard.
Yeah, he could never grow a beard.
Clemson's favored by 14.5 against Georgia Tech. This is your early 11 a.m. game on ABC.
Georgia Tech playing well, not too bad.
Yep.
Probably the game, I think probably the game of the weekend along
be.
with the Michigan-Penn State game. Number 10 Ole Miss at number 2 Georgia.
Well, you can't blame Georgia, or you can't say that Georgia's ducking good teams. Now, it just so happens that the SEC is one of the premier conferences this year in the country. They dispatched Missouri last week. Really not much of a threat. Missouri led early, I think, but The Bulldogs face Hotty Toddy, gosh almighty, 10th seed Ole Miss.
But you know what? Ole Miss was undefeated, went to Alabama, and they laid an egg. Are they going to go on the road again to Georgia and not be at 1/6 of the way to a dozen of eggs?
Yeah. Georgia's,
Like that, man.
Georgia's favored by 11. 6 p.m. kick on ESPN.
Yeah, we're all going with Georgia in that one. Number 8, Alabama. Deborah, yes, we are all picking Alabama this week.
We sure are.
Over Kentucky. Now,
Alabama's in the top 10. They're number 8, favored by 10.5 against Kentucky. 11 a.m. kick on ESPN. I don't know.
I'm going to bring up something. At the beginning of the season, the Alabama fans are so fickle. I'm sorry. I said it. They're fickle. They did not like one Tommy Rees. But have you ever heard, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, have you heard them complaining about Coach Rees?
No. He came from Notre Dame.
That he did.
He played quarterback at Notre Dame.
And he beat his old head coach on Saturday.
Sure did.
And I didn't like that Alabama won, but I like that Brian Kelly lost. Because you know how much a big fan I am of Brian Kelly. Family. Oh well. We're not going to dwell on that. All going with Bama at Kentucky. Duke going to North Carolina. All you guys take Duke. I'm taking North Carolina at home.
Carolina favored by 9.5. 7 p.m. kick on ESPN.
Yeah, so I'm going. A chance for me to pick up one there.
Yep.
And stretch my lead out a little bit. Michigan at Penn State. Three of us are going with Michigan on the road. This is the first game that they've actually played an opponent with a pulse.
Yes.
They're going to Penn State and Happy Valley. Bob is going with the Nittany Lion.
And for that reason, Michigan has not played a ranked team. They're favored by 4.5. 11 a.m. kick on Fox. I think they're going to go into Happy Valley and not be very happy when they leave. They've got this.
Let me see if I can find the weather for that game.
They've got this issue involving one of their former staff videotaping.
Is that not the most porn name of all time, Connor Stallion? I just think that's funny.
If he had a mustache, it'd be even funnier.
Yeah, but he's a former Marine. You think the guy that was a former Marine would have a little bit of integrity and not do something like that?
Yeah, well, Michigan, they came back today and denied, but it was weird that he bought tickets to some of the opponents of Michigan. I don't know. I mean,
what's the old saying? If you ain't cheating, you ain't win. If you ain't
cheating, you ain't winning.
That's
or
right,
you ain't
something
trying.
like that. You ain't trying. The weather, 46 degrees on Saturday, so that's a balmy 46 in Pennsylvania this time of year.
No snow.
They're having in the forecast.
They're having a heat wave. We're having a heat wave.
Tropical heat wave. Anyways,
to the northeast, I think New York City.
You're asking 75. Us what did we do with the money that our parents gave us for singing lessons? We spent it on broadcasting equipment.
Expensive broadcasting equipment.
Yes, indeed.
By the way, speaking of which, thank you, Deborah Broxton, for your donation. All of those have contributed. You had another donation this week from one of the Raider dads.
James is
his son's offensive lineman.
Yep.
A lineman for the county, one of the big bubbas.
Yeah. In fact, he was
Spalla? No.
Yeah, Jackson Spalla's dad. Larry is. James Spalla. James Spalla, his business stepped up, and I want to thank them and all the others that have made donations so that we can bring the broadcast to you all on Friday night.
Because it's $500 a week. Yeah, $500
for video broadcast.
Video and audio each week, not for the season.
No, just each game.
Yeah.
And if you make it to the state championship game, it even goes up higher than that. I think it's $1,000 for the state championship game.
We'll raise that much.
Oh, yeah. not a problem. But thank you all to our individuals that have donated so that we can bring all of you Raider football on Friday. I'm looking at the weather. It looks like there's a 40% chance of rain on Friday.
Here?
But we haven't had rain in a while. What's that old 40 days and 40 nights? Well, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. But,
Wasted days and wasted nights.
and I'm wasting time right now.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Well, let's go back to our picks. Joe, Paul, and I take Michigan. Bob takes Penn State. Let's go over to Orlando. UCF hosts a very hot Oklahoma State team. All of us going with the Oklahoma State guys, the Cowboys on the road.
Cowboys favored by 2.5. 2:30 kick on ESPN.
Tough place to play, UCF.
Yep.
Led by quarterback John Rice Plumlee, former Ole Miss quarterback.
That's right.
And should be a heck of a game there. Tulsa to Tulane. So you have the Golden Hurricanes playing the Green Wave. So a Green Wave and Hurricanes kind of go together.
That's a color analyst's dream there.
Indeed. So we're all going with Tulane in that one. They're number 24. They're favored by
23.
Arizona, probably one of the hottest teams in the Pac-12 right now.
Yep.
They're going to Colorado and facing Coach Prime. And we got a couple of defectors here. Colorado, Paul and Joe are going with the Buffaloes at home. You and I are going with Arizona on the road.
Arizona's favored by 10. 1 p.m. kick, Bill, and you'll have to use a divining rod to find the channel because it's on the Pac-12 network.
No. Good luck. Good luck with that. Next, we have Texas Tech at Kansas, not Kansas State as I had on the sheet, but everybody still would have went with Kansas State in that one. So we're all going with Kansas, the Jayhawks at home over Texas Tech. All going with the Tigers of Baton Rouge as they host the Florida Gators this week. Next, we got a split. Number 17, Tennessee, goes to number 12, Missouri. Those rankings may have changed as new rankings came out tonight. We're split in this one. Bob and Paul going with Mizzou, and Joe and I going with the Volunteers on the road.
Yeah, Mizzou's the sexy pick. Not that you guys aren't sexy, but a lot of the
You're too sexy for this broadcast. You're too sexy for this. No, that's all we're going.
Tennessee's favored by 1.5. 2 p.m. kick. Might as well just call it a push. 2 p.m. kick, I think it's on the SEC network.
Okay. Next, we're going to head back to Sooner Land as number 9 Oklahoma faces off West Virginia. And Coach Neil Brown, former head coach at Troy.
That's right.
Before he went up to West Virginia. Oklahoma favored by
12.5, 6 p.m. kick on the Fox network. Which West Virginia team's going to show up? You know?
Good question. We're all going with the Sooners at home.
Right.
Next, we're split again. Auburn going to Arkansas. And for this.
Arkansas's favored by 3.
Bob and Paul going with Arkansas, the home team. Joe and I going with Auburn, the Tigers on the road.
SEC network game at 3 p.m.
You all thought I was crazy.
Crazy.
when he took Colorado against TCU. You were the only one that saw that. That's why they call you the
Pick Wizard.
That's right. Anyways, let's get back to our games. TCU. Thanks for the nice lead in there, Joe. Nice segue. Number 7, Texas going to TCU. We're all going with the Longhorns on the road as they are favored by
10. 6:30 kick on A.
They have not missed Quinn Ewers at all. Their backup's playing rather well for Texas. Number 20, USC going to number 6, Oregon. I would not want to face the Ducks right now.
Ducks favored by 15. 9:30 kick.
9:30 kick on Saturday night. I think I'll stay up for that one for a little bit.
Fox Network.
Because the Bears play on Thursday night this week.
That's true.
So we get to watch the Bears on Thursday night and the Bears on Friday night.
That's right. The Bears.
But we're not going to stay up and watch the Cal Bears. they're not worth staying up for. All going with Oregon in that one. In fact, the rest of them are all PB and J picks. Utah, number 18, Utah at number 5, Washington. We're all going with the home teams in this one. Northwestern at Wisconsin. Stanford at number 16, Oregon State. Michigan State at number 1, Ohio State. Mississippi State at Texas A&M, and Arizona State at UCLA. Those last 6 games, we all went with the home teams. You got some spreads there for those?
We do on the
Washington game.
Washington favored by 9. 2:30 kick on Fox. Wisconsin and Northwestern. Wisconsin.
They need it after losing to the worst team in the Big Ten last
10.5
week,
points.
Indiana.
Favorites. 2:30 kick on FS1. Oregon State, the Beavers playing the Trees of Stanford. Oregon State favored by 21.
The future home of one Choctaw running
Cole
back,
Tabb.
Cole Tabb.
The Oregon State game, 4 p.m. kick on
Where's the weather?
Pac-12 Network.
We got to wait for the satellite to come in.
Yes.
To come into our atmosphere.
Pac-12 Network. Ohio State. Guess what the spread is against Michigan State?
I would say 38.
You're close. Very good. 31.5 right now. It might be higher. This was CBS picks odds. 6:30 kick on NBC.
Because you know what Ohio State has right now. And if my Bears do not select this guy, I'm sorry. I may change football teams if they do not pick Marvin Harrison Jr., the best wide receiver in the country, and he is healthy, and he is tearing up Big Ten defenses right now.
Sure is.
Next, we're going to hit Texas A&M. What's the spread in that one?
18.5 against Mississippi State.
We're not going for the midnight cheer on Friday night. They'll have to do without us this week.
Yeah. A&M game, 6:30 kick on ESPN2. You know, Jimbo has a hellacious buyout.
How much is it down to? It's about $60 million right now, isn't it?
But the natives
Are restless?
are restless in College Station.
Wow.
And Arizona
But
State.
luckily they're facing a very offensive offense in Mississippi State.
Sure are. In the last game, the Bruins favored by 17 over Arizona State. 8 p.m. kick. That game, Arizona State might cover.
You know what? I'm sorry,
8 p.m.
Pac-12
game
Dave.
on Pac-12.
I'm sorry,
Network.
Pac-12 Dave. Your team has not been playing up to par, so you are no longer a part of our picks, our weekly picks, Washington State.
However,
But you are going to give us the game, right?
yeah, when I couldn't find what you had sent me, I predicted what you were going to send
Okay.
me. I was pretty close. Washington State at Cal, 3 p.m. kick on ESPN. We didn't pick Baylor and K-State at Kansas State.
Yeah, but
Kansas
State's
State,
going to
3
roll
p.m.
on them.
game,
Going to roll on
20.5. Did we pick UNC and Duke? Yeah, we did.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah.
We picked the Duke.
Well, there's your college games for this week, and the only way to find out how we did was tune in next Tuesday and Wednesday night, and we'll let you know.
You know, Bill, we have football tonight.
We do. We got the MAC going on tonight.
And tomorrow.
MAC action, the MACtion, as I like to call it. We got
I don't know.
We got some.
Scores
We got some action going on
The
tonight.
scores were kind of low early on.
Yeah, let's go to the scoreboard here. As college basketball has tipped off tonight as well. My Hoosiers with the victory. Here's your scores after Western Michigan was up 21-7 at the half. The Chippewas have battled back, and is not Custer's last stand in this one, as they've taken a 28-21 lead into the fourth quarter. Ball State, Northern Illinois, the Huskies, and the Cardinals tied at 17 in the fourth quarter. And also in the fourth quarter, they've broken out the offenses in this one. Ohio and Buffalo, the Bobcats against the Bulls. It's 10-10. Then we got some action going on tomorrow night, too.
Tomorrow night.
Let's see who we
Wednesday
got
night.
tomorrow night. Bowling Green at Kent State, Akron at Miami of Ohio,
Yep.
and Eastern Michigan at Toledo.
Holy
Toledo's 8-1 on the season.
They what?
They're 8-1 on the season,
Ooh.
leading the MAC right now. So 10-10. I know it, Joey. There's not much scoring going on in that one.
10-10. You know, maybe Notre Dame can play Toledo in the Poulon Chainsaw Bowl.
Well, right now they said the latest bowl prediction, they have Notre Dame playing LSU. Would that not be a game, Notre Dame against Brian Kelly?
Oh, of course they're going to match that up. Where?
It's not going to be a New Year's 6-day bowl because the way that Notre Dame now has 3 losses on the season after starting 5-0, they're now 6-3. Actually, no, they're 7-3.
Yeah.
7-3 because they only got 2 games left. They're off this week, and they need to be off because their offense was off last week too.
Oof.
Well, anyways, let's switch over to our Gulf South Conference play. You say, well, where's that, Bill? Well, it's the best Division II conference in all of Division football, the Gulf South Conference.
West Florida.
West Florida got back on their winning ways last week on the road in Mississippi. A 42-14 win over
Mississippi
the
College.
Chippewas.
That's a theme.
Mississippi College.
It's a theme.
Valdosta State over West Alabama, 20-14. North Greenville over Shorter. That's not uncommon. 27-17. And Delta State all over West Florida.
West Georgia.
47-13. The conference standings, Valdosta State and Delta State at 6-1. West Florida, West Georgia, 5-2. North Greenville, 4-4. West Alabama, 3-4. Mississippi College, 2-5. Shorter, 1-6. And Chowan, 0-7. And that will be West Florida's opponent this Saturday as they will host Chowan. West Alabama will be at Shorter. Mississippi College at Delta State. And West Georgia goes to Valdosta
West Georgia.
State.
West Florida needs West Georgia to upset Valdosta.
That they do.
Yep.
Let's move over to the SIAC as they have finished a regular season. They only played 10 games in the SIAC. So they will have their conference championship this week, which will involve Albany State and Benedict, which shouldn't be a very close game. Benedict 10-0.
How'd they choose that? So Albany State's down the list.
Yeah, well, there's a 4-way tie for second. Benedict finishes 8-0 in the conference. Tuskegee, Fort Valley State, Miles College, and Albany State all finished 6-2 in the conference. It's the first year in a long time they just went to one division. But I know Albany State beat Miles College, and Miles College just beat Tuskegee in their big rivalry game. And I know Benedict, they did a number on Fort Valley State a couple of weeks ago. So that's probably how they ended up. Albany State and Benedict will play in a championship game this weekend in Atlanta. But the results from last weekend, Albany State 13, Fort Valley State 7. There's a head-to-head, so that probably knocked Fort Valley State out right there. Miles over Tuskegee 35-10. Central State over Kentucky State 20-10. Benedict over Allen 37-9 to stay unbeaten on the season. Morehouse, they're no longer unbeaten. I mean, no longer winless as they knocked off Clark Atlanta, their neighbor to the east, 35-21. So Clark Atlanta finishes the season 0-10. Lane over Savannah State, 27-21. Edward Waters over Virginia Lynchburg, 41-17. Like I said, the SIAC championship game will be this Saturday afternoon in Atlanta, Albany State versus Benedict. But we'll hold off on our players' Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings and that till tomorrow night, unless you want to go ahead and you want to get it out of the way, or do you want to wait?
Let's do our players of the week.
Okay, let's do our Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings. The large schools, Choctaw finishes the regular season as the school on top, 8-2. Niceville, the 2 seed, 8-2 as well. Navarre is in at number 3. Pace at 4. Mosley 5. No matter if Mosley's a district winner, I still have Pace ahead of them. Pine Forest at 6, and Scambia at 7.
Who would you put at 8?
Who would I put at 8? Wow. That's a good question. I was not expecting that question. No, Scambia is at 7. That's going to be a great matchup on Friday. I would probably maybe Tate at 5-5. Them and Fort Walton Beach both finished 5-5. West Florida is a small school, so
if we did a playoff with your rankings, the first round would be Choctaw.
Well, Choctaw would get a bye. If we're going 7, Choctaw would get a bye.
Yeah.
So Niceville would play Escambia.
Wow.
Navarre would play Pine Forest again.
Oh, gosh.
And Pace would play Mosley.
Wow.
And then that would set up so the 2-7 winner of that would play Choctaw in week 2. The winner of Navarre and Pine Forest would play the winner of Pace and Mosley. And that would be fun, wouldn't it? A playoff. Now let's go to our small schools. Congratulations to Walton and Bozeman. They both finished the regular season 10-0. Walton's our number 1 team, Catholic number 2. Bozeman comes in at 3, Holmes County 4, South Walton 5, Chipley at 6, and West Florida in at 7. Even though the FHSA won't allow West Florida in, they are more than welcome to be in my top 7 in the small schools.
We played them in the Kickoff Classic way
Very
back.
impressed.
Yeah.
But now our players of the week. Had to think long and hard, but and this is not just an award for this young man and all that he did at Gulf Breeze. This man definitely deserved our offensive player of the week and twice this year. Battle Albertson, Gulf Breeze, senior. Here are his numbers from last Friday night and a Thursday night against West Florida. 26 of 39, 327 yards, 4 touchdowns. And he also rushed for 145 yards on 19 carries and 2 more scores. So 6 touchdowns he accounted for in his senior season. What a way to go out. But he would rather have been in the playoffs. But what a heck of a career for one Battle Albertson at Gulf Breeze. He is our offensive player of the week. And at the end of the season, I will select my offensive player of the year, my defensive player of the year. Where we're going to go back to Lighthouse once again. This is a 2-time winner for this young man. Henry Johnson last week had 16 tackles, a tackle for loss, a sack, and an interception in the Stingrays' SSAC 4 state semifinal win, 21-18 over Eagles View. And they'll play out of Door Academy this week for the state title in SSAC 4 action. So our defensive player of the week for the second time in the last 3 weeks, Henry Johnson from Lighthouse, the Stingrays of Lighthouse PCA. And we got to see this young man in action last Friday night. What a leg. Niceville's Logan Maurice is our special teams player of the week as he went 9 for 9 on extra points. And his kickoffs, he put the Raiders in the corners on a lot of his kickoffs, and that's what you ask a kicker to do. And quite a leg. We'll see that young man play on Saturdays in the very near future. So Niceville's Logan Maurice is our special teams player of the week. And so Battle Albertson, Henry Johnson, Logan Maurice, congratulations for our players of the week.
Congratulations.
And we'll post up all these stats on Thursday morning after we do tomorrow night's show.
Battle Albertson, look at some of the other offensive performers, the running backs for Niceville.
I mean, the running backs for Niceville. Let's go ahead and talk about them a little bit. We got time. It's my show anyways.
That's right.
We can go as long as we want.
That's true.
Walton's Wells Bettenhausen, 14 of 18, 293 yards, 5 touchdowns. Tate's backup quarter, Javon Lennius, 21 of 27, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns. Catholic's Ryan Huff, 16 of 21, 252 yards and 3 touchdowns. West Florida's John Nicholas, 21 of 32, 227 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Bozeman's Peyton Gay, what a year he's had. 14 of 20, 225, 4 touchdowns, and 11 carries for 60 yards. But also other accomplishments, Anthony Hall, Hunter Feaster, Carson Hawk from South Walton, Vernon's Ryan Scott, Port St. Joe's Devin Catino, and Condell's Cameron Odom. All great season. Wide receivers, the best receiver out of this last week was our very own Terrence Marshall. 8 receptions, 164 yards. And we're going to give a couple of stats for Terrence. With those 8 catches, he moves into, let me pull up the stats here. I know he's online on-air production. He moves up to 3rd all-time with those 3 touchdown receptions. He's got 18 as he moved ahead of Gatlin Casey. He's only behind Dante Wright and Brad Leggett. Dante leads with 29, Brad with 20, so he's got a chance to catch Brad Leggett. He's moved up to 3rd in receiving yards, only 14 behind Jordan Leggett at 1,813 career receiving yards. He's number 5. He's actually tied for 2nd receiving touchdowns in a game with 3. And he's moved up to number 4 all-time in receptions with 101. And listen to these Raider greats. Brad Leggett, Jordan Leggett, Dante Wright. Those are all the guys in front of him. Just imagine if Terrence wouldn't have missed the first 2 games of the season. Oof. He would be reaching into Raider royalty. And he's also number 6. Actually, he's number 12 all-time this season with the 41 receptions. He's been pretty consistent over his time. He started as a sophomore, and he's also returned 5 kickoffs to go with those 18 touchdown passes. So 23 total touchdowns for Terrence, and that ties him with Connor Matthews, has got 23 as well. And so there's just some royalty. Terrence Marshall, what a game he had last week. 8 catches, 164 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The majority of that was in the first half. Let's get on to some more stats here. Also other receivers. Bozeman's Gabe Renna, 7 receptions, 157 yards at TD. Walton's Dalton Colmitz, 5 receptions, 138. Niceville's Caden Bridgman, we got to see that young man as well. He's a leading receiver for Niceville, 4 receptions, 126 yards at TD. What a great 4 years for Bryson Roulier at Gulf Breeze. Last week he finished up with 10 receptions for 124 yards. And Tate's Christian Neptune with 7 receptions, 122 yards. The running backs, Cole Tabb, what a game. He single-handedly carried Choctaw to that win last week over Mosley. 28 carries, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns. Niceville's DJ Shorts, fresh off of injury for his first game. 10 carries, 214 yards, 2 scores. Bluntstown's Bryant Washington, 16 carries, 210 yards. Jay's Brock Stroud, I think he's leading the area in rushing. He had 21 carries, 185 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Walton's Cornelius McKenzie, a consistent season for him, 182 yards on 10 carries, a couple of scores. Mariana's Amari Clemens, 29 carries, 174 yards. Bluntstown's Marion Hover, 22 carries, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cottondale's Jacarian Garrett, solid year. Niceville's DJ Robbins has stepped in for the injured DJ Shorts. And last week he only had 5 touchdowns, 162 yards. And Connor Matthews, 20 carries, 129 yards. It's just been a great year for running backs here in the Panhandle. On defense, Mr. Johnson had a little help from Cameron Lindsay, 16 tackles, over to Mariana Wayland Snellgrove and Alec Bassford with 12 and 11 tackles respectively. Anton Johnson for Lighthouse PCA with 11. Choctaw's Ellis Alloway, 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack.
Go ahead.
Navarre's Darius Cunningham with 11 tackles last Friday night against Niceville. Catholic's Turner McLaughlin, what a season he had, 10 tackles for him. Aiden Justice with 10. Not a whole lot of stats because as you get to the last game and your season's done, sometimes the coaches take their time putting their stats in. So we may add some more, but that's all that I could find. Special teams, Aaron Montoya. I got to write down which school he was from, but he was 6 for 6. Escambia's Morgan Stancliffe, 5 for 5. Bozeman's Chance Jenkins, 5 for 5. Navarre's Tyler Daniel, 4 for 4. He had 3 punts, averaged almost 39 yards per punt, one inside the 20, and he has become the Raiders' all-time scoring for a season with 69 points on the season. Choctaw Sam Keem, 4 for 4. So there's your players of the week and your Super 7 large and small schools. I think
Awesome sauce.
I think that's enough for one night, Bob. What do you think?
What do I think? I think.
Or do you try not to think?
I'm trying not to think that in the Niceville game, that double reverse pass.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Was done very well, obviously, and they executed it well. I think that was the backbreaker, to be honest. We're hoping we've got some folks that were nicked up. Connor Matthews, remember our kicker, Tyler Daniel.
He was actually not. He was not hurt. He was one of the guys that had the bug on his sideline. That was the reason he did not come out for that extra point.
Yes.
They went into the tent on the sideline, which was probably best for everybody. But there was about 7 or 8 Raiders that were sick, but still played.
Was it the chop? They didn't have chop steak.
They did not have their Salisbury steak last week. So you think, is there a coincidence?
Oh, the catering got messed up, I understand.
And so the first 2 weeks they don't have Salisbury steak. Last week they didn't have Salisbury steak. What happened in those 3 games?
They lost, Bill.
Yeah, so hopefully they are having Salisbury steak this week, and we get back to our winning ways.
You know what I prefer to have, though?
What's that?
To eat bear meat.
Ooh, bear meat can be a little tough.
We're planning on it, but you know,
maybe we can go
they all
a little ground counter on them.
Yeah, it all tastes like chicken.
Yeah. I'll taste like chicken. So Coach Walls, as he finishes his 12th regular season, 205 and 103 overall at Navarre, 102 and 32. Guys, the hits keep on coming for Coach Walls.
Yep.
And now we should have him on the show tomorrow night from Buffalo Wild Wings. But we're going to call on a night from Culver's here on this Tuesday night. Beautiful night as we dipping down into the 60s. Here in the Panhandle. I love this time of year. But the only bad part is the football season is winding down in the next few weeks.
Yeah, but you've got like 36 bowl games during the holidays.
Can't go wrong there.
And
I'll be recovering.
That's right.
So you know where you're going to find me most of the time?
On the couch.
On the couch on my recliner watching college football bowl games.
I don't
care what bowl games they are. I'll watch them.
Let's this week not forget the reason why we have a 3-day weekend, the Veterans Day, to all the veterans who stood post like this guy here.
Even if it was for one day or 24 years like myself, our hats off to you, and we'll say more. We'll probably go more to a musical theme tomorrow night towards our veterans and for our Wednesday night show from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Joe Settle, thank you.
Joe and I, that's where Joe and I met at Hurlburt Field. We were on the top 3 together out at Hurlburt Field, and for a couple of years, and we got to be pretty good friends. And I'm glad that relationship has fostered into almost like a brotherhood amongst all of us. And
seamless,
indeed.
Seamless.
Oh, yes. Can never go wrong with that. But thanks, Joe, for being with us. And Tim Keene, he's finally checking in. He said, "Hey, Bill. Hey, Bob. It's Tim. He is checking in." Katie Hoffman checking in. Say, "Hey, Katie."
Say, "Hey, Katie."
And it is greater to be a Raider.
Most certainly.
But I will not say that unless Deborah shows up tomorrow night. I'll say it one more time for her. But
Roll Tide.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Tim. He said it twice the other night.
Yeah, I said it twice, didn't I?
He did.
Did you catch that, Tim?
But it didn't. Maybe that's why LSU lost. Blame it on Bill. Hey, Bill.
Coach, I thought I was going to get through another show. I was getting ready to sign off, and here you come in.
Bill, I left you a couple of Culver's custards.
Oh, you know I love some. You didn't put any Red Bull in it, did you?
No, all I could say is I'm waiting till Brian Kelly gets let go. Hey, one of my buddies is up for the Michigan State job. You know that.
You're not talking about Urban, are you?
Suburban Urban, yeah. He asked me.
I didn't know you two were friends.
Well, we dated the same blonde one time. But Bill,
was that on your trip to Nebraska?
Yeah, Bill. If that's what you want to say, yeah. But anyway, all I can say is, oh God, I lost a bet this week. I gotta say, sugar snap peas. I gotta say, roll tide.
Oh, I bet you that was tough for you to say that, wasn't it, Coach?
Bill, good night. God bless, and roll Tigers.
Well, you heard it from Coach O. He likes to make a visit every once in a while. We hope you enjoyed our show tonight here from Culver's in Navarre. For Seminole Bob and Irish Bill, until tomorrow night from Buffalo Wild Wings, may the wind ever be at your back. This is Irish Bill signing off.